Ever since Suzuki left the MotoGP grid in 2022, it felt like the championship needed a new team to replace them and provide some brand new competition to the grid. It sort of felt a little bit lonely with only 5 manufacturers on the grid. And that's where BMW have come in over the last few days. There's been a lot of talk about them potentially joining the grid in 2027, coinciding with the regulation changes due that year. BMW have previous experience with motorcycle racing, having competed in World Superbike since 2009, and are looking especially competitive this year. So, will BMW actually join MotoGP? And if so, how will they do? Let's take a look, shall we? Most of this talk started a few weeks ago when the BMW CEO Markus Flash said that BMW are looking into entering the MotoGP field and that they are potentially using their performances in World Superbike to assess whether it's a good idea or not to enter. BMW already have association with MotoGP, they provide the safety car for their championship and also sponsor an award for the season's best qualifier, so it wouldn't be too unnatural to see them make the switch into actually competing. And Dorna Sports, who own MotoGP, clearly want 24 bikes on the grid and there's only 22 at the moment. This would make BMW the perfect team to fill that gap and fill up the last 2 spots, and there's been a few rumours that they've already agreed to join the grid in 2027. If BMW were to join the championship, it would be absolutely fantastic. MotoGP has sort of felt a little bit lonely with only 5 manufacturers, and only 3 of them are competitive at the moment. Yamaha and Honda have been horrendous and their good riders are sort of trapped there, so there's not really space for them elsewhere. To have a new team on the grid would provide a lot of healthy competition for the rest of the grid. It would make the likes of Honda and Yamaha want to improve even more, and even if they don't end up being right at the top, it'd still be really interesting to see how a brand new team performs, and to see if any riders will take the risk of joining a brand new team. It would also obviously mean that there are 2 extra bikes on the grid, which means more talent can come through from the likes of Moto2, and there's more space for the talented riders who are maybe out of contract and they've got a better chance of staying on the grid rather than having to leave the grid altogether. So if they were to join, how would BMW do in MotoGP and how are they preparing for their entrance? Well, BMW are actually forming a very talented team of test riders to potentially develop a brilliant MotoGP bike. In World Superbike, they've signed one of the best riders on the grid in Toprak Razgatlioglu. Got it. He was the 2021 World Champion and a runner-up for the last 2 years. Having a very talented rider like that is a useful asset for any team. But what's more impressive is the new testing team, which now consists of Sylvain Gintley and Bradley Smith. Gintley was the 2014 World Superbike champion, but most importantly an ex-MotoGP rider and a former test rider of Suzuki, including when they won the World Championship in 2020. He even made some occasional appearances as a wildcard, and he would be a fantastic asset for developing a MotoGP bike. Alongside him we have Bradley Smith, who actually raced in MotoGP from 2013 all the way till 2020, and he picked up 2 podiums during his time on the grid. He was also a test rider for Aprilia in 2020 and 2019, which means he definitely had a hand in developing the bike into the monster that it has become in recent years. His more recent MotoGP experience would be absolutely crucial in developing a competitive MotoGP bike. As well as this, BMW also have in their ranks Scott Redding, who also raced in MotoGP for a few years and also picked up some podiums, and he could also be a handy rider in terms of developing a bike. BMW have all the pieces in their ranks to create a seriously competitive MotoGP bike if they were to enter, and it'd be really interesting to see which riders they'd sign if they were to join. Would they maybe bring Toprak over to MotoGP? Or would they sign some young talent from Moto2? Or would they try to poach a rider who's willing to take a big risk on a brand new team? So I guess the real question is, will BMW actually join MotoGP? In all honesty, for me it makes a lot of sense if they do join. The MotoGP clearly wants to have 24 bikes on the grid, and this would fill the hole that Suzuki left perfectly. They have previous experience in motorcycle racing, and have a very strong rider setup which could aid them in becoming a seriously strong competitor. I feel like the grid needs some fresh new competition, and BMW would provide exactly that. And even if they don't join soon, I feel like it's inevitable that we will get a new team in MotoGP soon, to get that 24 bikes on the grid, whether it's a new manufacturer or whether it's just a satellite team for one of the existing manufacturers. In my opinion, I really want BMW to join MotoGP. I feel like it would be fantastic for the championship, and it would be a great way in 2027 to introduce the new regulations, to also introduce a brand new team, and I think it's important for the sport to have a big name like BMW to bring more eyes onto the sport and gain a wider audience. So what do you guys think? Will BMW join MotoGP? Would you like them to join? And how do you think they'd perform? Let me know in the comments, and while you're there, hit the like button, get subscribed for more weekly MotoGP content. But for now, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.